So, back from the VGC guide, and this time we are looking at Rapid Strike Urshifu. I'm sure you don't need me to tell you this, but this is going to be one of the best Pokemon in the format. Maybe even the best Pokemon in the format. It's going to still be as good as it was in the previous generation, with a couple of new things that it can do. So it's still got Surging Strikes, very, very strong attack, always going to crit, hits 3 times, can OHKO some Sash Pokemon if you're strong enough, and to make you strong enough, 2 big things for it. Now it's got Terra Water, so it can increase the damage from Surging Strikes even further to actually push some potential KOs over the edge, which is really nice. And it also gets Swords Dance now. Bulk Up was alright in the previous generation, but Swords Dance is very noticeable. +2 is way better than +1, so it's going to be able to pick up loads of KOs if it even gets one singular Swords Dance. So 2 different ways of increasing its damage output even further now is going to be really, really nice for Urshifu. I've gone with Splash Plate. Of course, it can be Mystic Water. Like, both do exactly the same thing, but I always try and do the fancy one. So Splash Plate does exactly the same thing. You're going to be Surging Strikesing most of the time. Your other move doesn't particularly matter. Like, Drain Punch is very good for consistency and recovery, because if you're going with a Swords Dance version, you definitely want to be bulking yourself out, because if you don't bulk yourself out, you're going to be too frail and you'll be KO'd to everything. But this is very respectable bulk for sure. You can get rid of your Fairy weakness by going for Terra Water while being offensive, because Terra Water is one of the best defensive Terras in the game, so it works out really, really nicely. Doesn't have to be Terra Water, there's a couple of other good ones, like Steel is worth considering for the Fairy resistance, Fire is worth considering for the Fairy resistance as well, and also immunity to burns, because that's one of the main ways that you can slow down Surging Strikes. You can't Intimidate it to reduce it, you can't go for Intimidate to reduce it, so it's going to be a really nice Terra type as well, just to make yourself immune to the burns also. So this is going to be one of the most consistent Urshifus in my opinion. People are still going to stick to the Choice Scarf version, I think. Like, Choice Scarf is going to be a very good, well, I was going to say very good choice, but that's obviously an incredibly easy pun. But there we go, too late now, because Regieleki is still going to be good, but it's not going to be everywhere like it was in the previous generation. So now that's the only real Pokemon outside of, like, speed controlled and other Choice Scarf Pokemon that are faster. Regieleki was the only real one that was going to outspeed the Urshifu. So now it's going to outspeed everything else, and that's going to be good enough, because we'll have to see how Regieleki does in the format, but otherwise it outspeeds everything. Go with Adamant, you don't need Jolly. You're outspeeding everything you need to with Adamant. You don't need Jolly. Get the damage output so that you can justify running the Choice Scarf. Still go Terra Water on the Choice Scarf. I don't think you need the defensive Terras on Choice Scarf, because you probably want to just be going as much attack as you can so that you can try and pick up the KOs faster than the opponents. So Terra Water, Surging Strikes, going to be very nice as well. This is a sleeper that I had in the previous generation. I think it was, what was it, Spikemuth Cup. That's the name of it, right? Where there was no Dynamax. This was so good. Like, this set was amazing. Sub-Focus Punch was very, very good on it, because like I mentioned previously with this one, most of the time you're going for Surging Strikes. The other attacks don't particularly matter. Like, you've got your Protect, you've got your Surging Strikes, choose your favorites. Well, obviously you should have a fighting type move. Focus Punch is way stronger than Close Combat. It doesn't have the drawback of Close Combat by dropping your defenses, so you can stay bulky. And I ended up behind a sub so much of the time in the Spikemuth cuts. Like, so many times. Therefore, Focus Punch was definitely justifiable. Not sure how useful it will be in this format, but it's worth an honorable mention, because if there were any kind of Spikemuth tournaments back in the previous generation, I would have absolutely brought this Urshifu. So we'll have to see if it's still going to hold up in this one as well. Assault Vest is going to be very justifiable on Urshifu as well, because you bulk yourself out, and you bulk yourself out even further with the Assault Vest, and you'll be able to shrug off a load of attacks. So this is an EV spread that I made in a Metafy coaching session with a student, and I forgot what it does. So just trust. I'm pretty sure the speed outspeeds Iron Bundle when you go for a Trailblaze, because that's a justifiable move on Urshifu, so that you can get a speed boost and then outspeed everything and have a pseudo Choice Scarf while still having amazing bulk with the Assault Vest. So I'm pretty sure it's a Flutter main survival somewhere on the Urshifu. And there's a lot of other moves that you can have in this filler slot as well. Obviously, you can have Drain Punch in the Close Combat slot. You should absolutely have Surging Strikes and Aqua Jets if you're going with the Assault Vest version. But here are some other move choices that you can put in the Trailblaze slots. This is not a recommended moveset. These are just filler moves to have in this slot. So Fire Punch, Thunder Punch, Iron Head, all very good coverage for respective hits. Like, if you need to be able to hit like a Gyarados, then Thunder Punch is going to be very good. You can hit opposing Urshifus with Thunder Punch as well. If you go with Terra Fire instead, because then you don't necessarily need Terra Grass as well if you've got Trailblaze. Terra Fire for the burns means that you get stab on your Fire Punch as well. Iron Head is going to be able to probably OHKO Flutter mains, especially if you go Terra Steel. So basically all of these would be very good with the respective Terras. U-Turn is also a good move to have. on Urshifu just to get some pivoting going. It's also good on Choice Scarf. I went Ice Spinner here because that's going to be able to hit grass types pretty well. And Rock Slide is very good on a Choice Scarf Pokemon because if you're going for fast Rock Slide, you'll get a load of flinches. So, but U-Turn is very, very useful on it as well. And there's going to be so many other movesets on Urshifu as well. I definitely can't go through all of them. The Sash one is still going to be fine, but I reckon if you're going Sash, you might as well just be the single strike Urshifu because you don't have the 4 times weakness holding you back. You can absolutely justify bulking yourself out. And if you do bulk yourself out, not much can OHKO you. So then the Focus Sash becomes not as necessary. I think there's so many good movesets to have on Urshifu. I definitely won't be able to mention them all. This is definitely an honorable mention, though. This is my favourite so far. So this is what I would go forward with, at least at the start of the format. I have to see how consistent it's going to be going forward. But Urshifu, like I said, it's going to be one of, if not the best Pokemon in the format.